I remember somebody asked me, how does an atheist from the south side of Chicago wind up living in Nashville, Tennessee as a born-again Christian working churches?
Oh, I don't know, man. I guess by making some extremely poor choices, and at least if this video is anything to go by, well, not being particularly funny, and are in fact kind of preachy. And by kinda, I mean, oh dear Lord, exist, and then kill me now. But yeah, I don't know the guy, but damn, his take on atheism is one of the most of them of all time.
I was at a church last night in New Albany, and in Nazarene, from clubs like this, and from Vegas casinos, and from Atlantic City, and how do you wind up working churches?
You went from fun place to Vegas to churches. Damn, I can see why you stopped wanting to have fun. I've heard tales of that place. It sounds horrifying. I'm in. I don't even gamble, but the depths of depravity that go on in that place sounds like my kind of city. I mean, it's not even a place that should exist. It's in the middle of a fucking desert, for crying out loud. That's not a place anyone should be. There's hardly any naturally forming whiskey in the desert. What do you mean it doesn't form naturally anywhere? Not with that kind of attitude, it don't.
And I got to tell you, 25 years ago when I started comedy in Chicago, this was the last place I expected to ever be is in front of a church.
I don't know, if I want to hear people saying funny things, there are plenty of churches that do say them. I mean, there's Matt Powell's one, there's that one guy, Tom Brown, the shit he says is hilarious, and there are various other guys. The funniest things I have ever heard have been spouted from leaders of various religious groups. I just think you weren't expanding your horizons, my friend. Anything can be funny if you're willing to be enough of an asshole.
And professing a faith in God, certainly.
So you are what we call one of them their ex-atheists. These are always fun because their stories are always so very, very shit. Like the kind of thing where they have this aha moment that to the rest of us is more that's it moment. That's what convinced you God was real. What are you, stupid? And invariably, yes. Yes, they are. I mean, it's not their fault, but damn, it's embarrassing to actually tell people out in the open like that.
And what happened was I crawled into an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting 17 years ago.
Okay, oof. Now, as a card-carrying drunk, because I don't go to no damn meetings, I want to make it clear if you think you have a problem with alcohol or any other kind of substance abuse, trying to get help is a laudable thing, and schemes like Alcoholics Anonymous have helped a lot of people, and I ain't bagging on them for that. However, they are also, in many of their groups, deeply rooted in Christian philosophy, and are often held in places like churches, often having members who will try to get you to do the whole God thing, and frankly, that is kind of fucked up. Taking someone at a very low point and offering help, but with the caveat of join my club that has nothing to do with that help that you need. That's not charity, unless by charity you mean helping yourself to other people's minds. Fuck that shit. There are secular AA and AA style groups though, and if you need help, I highly recommend seeking one out. They are usually local, so I can't really list any per se, but the first step is looking, and I wish you the best of luck. After all, the less drinkers there are, the more whiskey there is for me. It's a win-win, baby.
And all I wanted to do was stop drinking. That was it. That was my goal in life, was to stop drinking and try to be a civil human being to my family.
Again, laudable. It is sad that you behaved in a way where you were apparently disgusted with yourself, but again, the fact that you wanted to be better, well, great. I don't know how that makes God real. But whatever, he needs something, because it's not like he left any of that damn evidence stuff about. Whoops.
I was not a nice man. Trust me. Let's just say I was an angry, bitter, jaded, cynical man.
He doesn't say it in the video, but what's the betting that he would associate it with being an atheist? Because, you know, that happens a lot. But the thing is, I know a lot of atheists, and they have been some of the nicest motherfuckers on the planet. It's sickening, really. All trying to help people and do kind things out of the goodness of their hearts, instead of being because they could get a cookie or, you know, not have their skin peeled off forever if they don't. It's absolutely ridiculous, and I think it makes us look bad. And by us, I mean me, because apparently I'm the only asshole atheist. And no, you might think that you're an asshole, but you're not. That's my thing, and I will sue, damn it.
Just not nice. And I was harder on my family than anybody. I wasn't nice to many of you people, but I was harder on my wife and kids.
What do you mean by you people? I'm not one of them yous. I'm a thee, followed by various verbs and adjectives, like sexiest and man, or famousest and nobody. Or my favourite, whatist and who. That one always gets them, and shit, I can't really imagine being shitty to my family. And I mean my direct family, the one that I live with family, not those other people who demand I see them at Christmas just so I can be bored to tears and be called antisocial for wanting to do literally anything fun. I mean those me people that I choose to live with / kind of forced into existence by being that good at sex. It's the rest of the world that can go fuck itself. Especially you, Derek. I mean, clearly even your parents hated you. They called you Derek. That's just mean.
And they told me to pray to a God, and they said, pray to this God.
Yeesh, that's just, I told you. In many instances, it's kinda a church thing. And I can see why a lot of people are in fact not helped by this. I mean, if I have to change a fundamental belief I have, something that's, after all, no small amount of time looking into, pondering, and all that jazz, that I have come to the conclusion that shit's fake, mate. The idea that I go looking for help for something else, and they say, no, you need to do this thing that you think is factually nonsense, that's not exactly going to be helpful.
And I said, I don't believe in God. And they said, well, find something in this universe that's bigger than you.
Okay, that's better, I guess. Although you did say inside the universe. Well, for starters, then the other guy shouldn't be doing God, because I got some news for you. If the God they are talking about exists at all, it has to be outside the normal flow of space-time, hence the clear lack of interaction. And secondly, why can't it be the universe itself? Loads of people think of the whole universe. When you say God, you just mean universe. Plenty have that kind of perspective, and while I think that's, a bit dumb and in no way reflects a deity which is generally considered a personified being, not a fucking place, but I'm sure a man as smart as you will accidentally admit not being, would be fine with that, right?
And I got to tell you, as broken as I was and beat up as I was, that was the hardest thing I had to do, was find something larger than me in the universe.
Well, aside from the fact that, come on, I'm right here. You seriously couldn't think of anything bigger than you. What are you, an idiot? Whether literally or metaphorically, that's one of the easiest fucking things you could possibly do. I mean, you're living on something bigger than you right now. A little planet known as Earth. Well, but it's got an A in it. Whatever, English is stupid, but fine. Maybe that's too obvious. So how about things like whatever society you live in, or the concept of humanity, or all sorts of other shit that you would have to be extremely narcissistic, or me, to think you are better than those. And, well, obviously, as we know, atheism is all about narcissism. I mean, not thinking that the creator of absolutely everything has a special plan for you. What's more narcissistic than that? Aside from literally fucking everything.
Isn't that amazing? Is just how the human ego can be so large.
The human ego? I think you mean your ego. Most people I know just aren't like that. You are an anomaly, not the representation of what most people are like. I get that it does show that some people are that egotistical, but the way he's saying it makes it sound like all people are like that. And at least in my experience, kind of the opposite. Unless you're an apologist for some reason.
And I could not get on my knees. I would not get on my knees and pray to anything.
Whoa there, cowboy. That's not the same thing as finding something bigger than you. That's fucking wild. Basically, treating anything you can think of as a god. And that doesn't even make sense. Who the fuck, apart from extremely cringy hippie types, are praying to the fucking planet or the universe or whatever? But just because you refuse to pray, a very specific religious act, to something other than God, that doesn't mean you're fucking egotistical. That is in fact an extremely reasonable response. And anyone asking you to get on your knees and pray to things when you almost certainly don't believe that shit works is 100% trying to get you into their fucking God club, or possibly even their full-on goddamn cult. Screw that.
But God has his own plans, and I've loved the term hound of heaven.
God has his plans, does he? Well, it would be nice if he just about let us in on them. And no, I don't mean by having some fucking inscrutable book written by ignorant assholes from the stupid ages. I mean a clear and concise text that unambiguously says what he wants. And you might be there saying, but no, the Bible is very clear. God wants X, Y, Z things. And I want to stop you and ask, then how come so many groups think he wants the opposite of that? Or something unlike that at all? And you might say, well, they're wrong. This is the true meaning. And we just go right back to that ego thing, don't we? You not only think that God is your bestest friend, but that you are also smarter than basically everyone else. It is embarrassing that so many of you genuinely think that you aren't extremely silly people. And no, that's not any form of hypocrisy. I know I'm fucking ridiculous.
I don't know if you're familiar with that. It's when God pursues his own, and he'll pursue you if he wants you.
Well, that's a bit sinister. Dun 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 dun. Fucking shark god. Right there. Hunting down humans for his lunch. We're gonna need a bigger boat. And really, if he did do that, you would think you would notice the half-eaten corpses that aren't outside my house. And
the only motivator he has for you to get to look heavenly and get on your knees is pain. Unfortunately, that's his only way of getting your attention.
All-powerful. Let me say that again. All-powerful. That is part of the definition of the Christian God. You know what that means? That means that God can do literally fucking anything. And that's not to mention that he allegedly created humans the way that they are. So you have two possible unresolvable issues. Either God doesn't have the power to do it in some non-destructive, non-traumatic manner, thus not all-powerful, or for some reason he made humans in such a way that they can only find him like that, which means that he did that on purpose, which means that he's an asshole. Or there is a third one where we can find God in other ways and he can do it in those ways if he wants. He just doesn't because he's a fucking asshole. Whenever I think about any of the completely batshit definitions of God that make no sense, I am really glad he doesn't exist, because the reverse would be terrifying for absolutely everyone.
And he took away everything that I thought I valued. Everything.
So you didn't value your legs or your arms or even your hair? Like, okay, cool. Not going to interrogate that into the ground. Just going to accept that you don't fucking think about things you say and think that it makes you sound smart.
And after 7 or 8 years on that journey, and I read a lot of books. I read all the self-help books I could get.
Swing and a miss. That was almost a reasonable sentence, and then it was all the self-help books you could get. Like, seriously, god damn it. Could you have not read, like, a good book? No, not that good book.
Reading Ayn Rand and trying to get a hang on to something to make me a better human being.
Ayn fucking Rand. To make you a better human being. Of all the books you could have brought up, of all the fucking books you chose, presumably Atlas fucking shrugged. As John Rogers said, there are two novels that can change a bookish 14-year-old's life: The Lord of the Rings and Atlas Shrugged. One is a childish fantasy that often engenders a lifelong obsession with its unbelievable heroes, leading to an emotionally stunted, socially crippled adulthood, unable to deal with the real world. And the other, of course, involving orcs.
I really was. I was trying as hard as I could. I went to therapy, talked to people about my anger, my rage, all this stuff, and it wasn't working. I went through my whole life trying to feel like I belonged on this planet somewhere, and it just wasn't working.
Again, that's absolutely fantastic. I mean, not that you were apparently some crazy rage monster, but that you recognize that and try to do something about it. But again, there are ways and means that don't involve believing in a fiction. And I have just realized that the only reason you brought up Ayn Rand is because she criticized religion. Therefore, it's an atheist book. But dude, that doesn't mean that atheists like her work. In fact, in my experience, it's the religious who are more likely to resonate with it. Say of that what you will.
And God puts people in your lives. And trust me, if you're on a journey, pay attention to the people you come. Even the guy that hits you with his car is maybe there for a reason, And I met some interesting people when I look back on this.
Or there are 8 fucking billion, with a B, people on the planet, and if you don't meet anyone that is interesting or changes your life in some way or whatever, where the fuck is your cave and can I rent it? No people anywhere. That sounds fucking great.
God put a man in my life He was doing comedy for $100 a week. The guy was worth, I don't know, $4, $5, $6 million. Sold his business, made millions of dollars. Just wanted to go on the road and do comedy. He was 50-some years old.
So this is your reminder that this is supposed to be a comedy show. And it has been minutes since he said something that is supposed to be a joke. In fact, I don't think he said it at all. And I'm not going to say that some of the things he says aren't funny, but they are supposed to be deep and meaningful instead of deeply meaningless to the point of absurdity. It's a gift, really.
Wasn't a very good comic. But he didn't have to be. I mean, he had all the money he ever needed. He's the only guy that we ever worked with that pulled into the jobs with a 450 SEL Mercedes.
The first laugh of the show, and it's shitting on some guy who's not here that he was apparently friends with. I know I'm an asshole, but I do it to my friends' faces. And B, I don't think that I'm fucking saved and better than I used to be. I am, in fact, way, way worse. It's great, and I will not stop.
I'm coming in on the Greyhound, you know. Hey, how are you? I'm your headliner for the week. I make the big money. How are you? But God knows his own, man, and he knew I wouldn't talk to this man. I was a shallow, vacuous, empty vessel. I really was.
And then God poured his magic liquid into you, and now you are cum. You're full of cum. I hate to tell you this, but that is what he was doing behind that dumpster when you asked for his help. He is a monster.
And I didn't have anything to talk to this man about until I found out because of his wealth, he had access to some of the nicest golf courses in America. He was actually a member of Muirfield Village here, and that's all I needed to hear. He was my new best friend.
That's disgusting. I cannot believe you did that. I mean, I didn't think you were all that before now, but I know you are truly an absolute worthless piece of human garbage. You play golf? What kind of butthole in the shape of a man does that? You have to go outside and everything. Ugh.
What I didn't know about him was he was a fundamentalist Christian, and I didn't know that. And we're sitting on the fairway one day just talking.
And that's where you really fucked up. Talking to people, that's how they get you. Next, they'll want you to be in their wedding and then meet their friends. And you have to pretend not to be a giant misanthrope. And it's a whole mess. Better to just lock the doors and threaten passers-by with a super soaker filled with coyote piss. It's the American way.
And we're talking about life, we're talking about this, we're talking about that. And then he brings up the Bible. And I said, don't give me the Bible, I don't want to hear the Bible. And he says, what do you mean? And I said, I'm an atheist. I don't believe in that garbage.
Damn, the most reasonable thing that you have said all video. A 21 super soaker filled with coyote piss salute to you, good sire. You earned it.
And he says, well, what is it about the Bible you don't think is true? And I said, I don't know. I never read it. And he said, well, you're not an atheist. You're a moron.
Well, it's half right. You are clearly a moron. But then again, as we're about to find out, it takes one to know one.
And I have to tell you, I would have hit him, except that I would have lost access to Muirfield Village. And I wasn't going to do that. And I asked him to explain himself, and he said, well, to be honest with you, a true atheist.
Okay, here it comes, that true atheist spiel. Buckle in, it is really fucking stupid. And if you can't figure out why by the end, don't worry, I'm going to fucking tell you.
Is not only a biblical scholar, but is scholarly in all the face of the earth. And after a long intellectual journey has come to the conclusion that there is no God of the universe. You, on the other hand, want to circumvent the entire intellectual process and just come to the conclusion that there's no God. That's lazy and moronic.
So there's a lot, but here's the main point. That idiot that is this totally real guy who definitely exists, just like God, he didn't just read this on Christians Destroy Atheism in 1minute.com person. Misses in this fucking idiotic nonsense. If an atheist is not a true atheist when they are not a scholar of all religions, then the same can and should be said of basically all Christians. But it won't, because there's no hypocrisy than that of a true believer. Ultimately, it doesn't matter if you have read every book and know all their claims and what have you of every single religion. If you have been told about God and you didn't believe it and don't accept God exists, you're a fucking atheist. End of story. And you don't get to tell anyone that they are not because you decided what they have to do. The same way I'm not going to tell you that you're not a real comedian, even though in my humble and sexy opinion, based on this video alone, you're not particularly funny. Got him!
Wait, before you go, I have something super important to tell you. It's life or death. It will change everything forever. Nope, wait, it's gone. Oh well, probably wasn't important. But while I have you, don't forget to comment, subscribe and notify. And if you want more of my smexy voice, check out Mrs. Six's channel, Spoonstaff Stories, where I narrate and voice all the videos, and she does the work. And if you want to support the channel, check out the merch store for cool t-shirts, or check out Patreon, memberships and PayPal to support directly. Finally, follow me on the medias of social to get completely pointless guff and to keep up on the latest releases. Oh, I just remembered what I was going to tell you. Whatever you do, don't touch the